Welcome to episode number 35 of About the Cards podcast, live every week here on YouTube. As always, I'm joined by my co-host. We got a little feedback, fellas. Podcast live.
It's Jennifer.
Always, I'm joined by my co-host.
Maybe.
It's not I.
There we go. I fixed it. Sorry about that, folks. As always, I'm joined by my co-host, Stefan Loeffler at Junk Wax Twins, Ben Wilson at our Cards. And I'm Tim Shepler, Big Shep 79. We are a podcast by collectors for collectors, and we hope to bring you a smart and insightful podcast discussing trading card collecting. We're live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. on Pacific Standard Time here on YouTube. And we have a great new show intro that I kind of flubbed this evening. Sorry about that. From Diego at CB SC _club. You can find his YouTube channel, Sports Card Detour. That's D-TOR. You can always follow us on Twitter at About the Cards, and we're available on iTunes and Stitcher at About the Cards. And make sure you subscribe to the YouTube page so you'll get notifications when we go live or post new material. I want to welcome in. We have a great guest tonight. We're going to lead off the show. So the show will be a little different tonight. We have an interview, and we're also going to cover a new release during the interview tonight. But with us today, we have James Kakowski. He's at Philly Puck Fan on Twitter. He's a big hockey fan, and he's a lawyer. And so we brought him on for a couple of different nights. So welcome, James. Thanks for taking some time and joining us from the East Coast. It's late.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And so we're gonna kind of hop into Series 2, 2018-19 Upper Deck Series 2 is being released today. It's always one of the most popular hockey products, like Flagship Baseball was last week, back for Topps. You're going to find a hobby box around $70. You're going to get 24 packs per box, 8 cards per pack. You're going to find 4 UD Canvas cards, 4 UD Portrait Rookies, 6 Young Gun Rookie cards, which are very sought after. You're going to find 5 O-Pee-Chee Update cards and 1 O-Pee-Chee Update Retro card. You also can find this in 10s, which I heard the 10s are pretty popular. And these are going to run about $30. 12 packs in a 10, 8 cards per pack. And the 10 exclusive, you're going to get 1 bonus oversized 3.5 by 5 card from the base card from UD from Upper Deck Series 1. So also a new 10 exclusive is the new rookie. There's a new rookie insert set falling 1 per 10. Product highlights, you're going to get 250 cards in the base set, 3 parallels. The vets are going to run 251 to 450, and your young guns are going to run 451 to 500. Your young guns are going to fall 1 for every 4 hobby packs, and also the same with the E-Pack and retail, 1 per 6 blaster packs. 1 in 4 in the 10 and fat pack. So, if you buy 4 packs, the chances are you're going to at least get 1 young gun there. It also has the 18-19 O-Pee-Chee Update, and that's 50 cards, which have 5 parallels, and they kind of extend the set out. And they're numbered 601 through 610 for the vets and 611 to 650 for marquee rookies. There's an autograph set that's called A Piece of History 1,000 Point Club. There's 14 cards, all numbered to 10, and there's 4 mem sets. So I'm going to hand off to Steph as we let some hockey talk happen here on About the Cards podcast. This is the first time we've had 2 hockey guys. I'm betting we're almost outnumbered. And all I know about hockey is that the Hartford Whalers are my favorite team.
They may be, but they don't play anymore. So
they're in Carolina now, right?
I believe so. Are they the team that went to Colorado?
No, that was the Quebec Nordiques. See, I have some hockey knowledge.
But no, so I figured I'd tackle Series 2 since he kind of led off with it. Huge major release, especially since everybody who made their debut this year is mostly in this, as opposed to Series 1 where we have players from the end of last year. So I would say what are you most excited from Series 2, either players or inserts, and naturally, what Young Guns are you targeting or looking to collect, or others should look to collect?
Well, being a Philly fan, obviously the Philadelphia guys, Carter Hart's our 50th
Sure.
next best goaltender in the history of the team, but this guy looks like he's going to stick. I know those are pretty hot. Brady Tkachuk, who is son of NHL, I believe Hall of Famer Keith Tkachuk,
Right.
and I believe his brother Tyler, his brother is also playing somewhere at a pretty high level. I think in Calgary. When it gets to the Western Conference, the teams out in the West, I'm not as much paying attention to them. Hockey is probably more than the other sports a team collector sport. I know baseball, hockey tend to track together. One of the things you'll see in hockey is where if you have a rookie card of a player and then that player gets traded, that rookie card won't be as popular as it would be with a new team. Whereas with baseball, they'll go back. So another player on this checklist that's really good, Elias Anderson. He was the guy, the kid on Sweden who threw the silver medal in the crowd and got suspended.
Right.
Maybe a little bit classless, but I kind of like seeing a player who gets pissed off at losing.
The intensity, yeah.
Yeah, there's a few others. Spencer Fu seems to be a pretty good prospect. This is a lighter checklist as far as it's a deep checklist, but it's going to be third and fourth liners. So, I mean, I do a set every year with my daughters. We went today and got our 2 boxes. Very good start on the set. So if you do the set every year, then this is no exception not to get a box or 2 and then try to fill in the holes. But
Sure.
if you're going to start with a hockey product, I don't know that you want to start with Series 2 this year because this is a watered down checklist here.
I just have 2 questions. I'm looking at the checklist Steph has up, and Casey Middlestat. We talked about him earlier when the hockey season kicked off.
I was actually about to mention him.
And then real quick, and then the other name while you do that, I saw is Dominic Turgeon. Is that Peter Turgeon?
Yes, I believe it's Pierre Turgeon's son.
Yeah, I know a little hockey. There we go. A little sports center knowledge kicking in.
Pierre, not Peter, right?
Well, yeah, Pierre Turgeon. There we go.
Right.
But no, that's actually 2 that I was going to mention that he hadn't mentioned. Buffalo's lineup between Casey Middlestat and Rasmus Dahlin. I'm kind of pulling for the Sabres since my Wild are trash this year. Just because Middlestat came from Minnesota, and I think Dahlin has some ties as well, either college or whatnot. But moving on, what's your thoughts regarding EPAC versus retail versus hobby, as well as Upper Deck's Random Acts of Kindness program?
I guess I'm a bit of a fossil because EPAC isn't something I ever even considered. I've always been blessed to be near really good hobby shops, whether went out in Harrisburg, I was near Card Stadium, or now I'm in Chicago suburbs, and Baseball Card Exchange is right here. So I'm 15 minutes away from possibly the best hobby shop in the country. So I haven't had a need for EPAC. I suppose if I was out in Europe or something, or in Wyoming, or back when I was in law school in Mississippi, where there was no sports card store for 100 miles, EPAC might be something I would have been looking at, but I haven't had much other than the free packs they had a few years ago. I mean, I did look at that, but I can't see spending money on digital cards. I mean, what's a digital card? The computer disappears and it's gone. It's not something that I don't want to be like to my daughters. Well, here, I collected all these digital cards for you. Aren't they awesome? Yeah, sure.
It's not as different as when it's in hand. I get that. Absolutely.
Well, and I believe with the EPAC cards that you can have them transferred to your ComC account and sell and trade, or you can trade on the website with the EPACs, but you also can, if you want the card physically, you can have it shipped to you. But I don't know if that's base. But I know the hits they will ship out. So
right, I think how they did that was that for the base cards, So you'd open a pack and you're either guaranteed at least a physical card, if I'm not mistaken, in an insert or otherwise. But for the quote unquote base cards, you'd have to combine 9 of them to get 1 physical card.
Yep.
And if I'm not mistaken, ComC's storing all of the physical cards as is.
So real quick, guys, as a baseball card collector, if I was to venture into hockey, considering Baseball Series 1 just released recently, how does Upper Deck Series 1 and Series 2 measure up to Flagship? I imagine it's on par. Is that the same style of a release for somebody that wants to get into hockey?
I'll let him answer.
I think they're pretty comparable. I think the trend too, like top Series 1 seemed really watered down this year, and less I know there was less inserts, you can tell, but and Upper Deck has pared down on the inserts as well, so which is a positive and negative. I mean, they're really good with the insert designs, but at the same time, you're pretty sure to get a full set out of a box, which is a big deal in hockey collecting. So yeah, I think it's pretty much Upper Deck 1 and Tops 1 are comparable to each other.
Absolutely. And I'd agree with that. That much like Donruss is akin to Top Series 1 and 2, and Upper Deck is akin to Series 1 and 2.
So would this be a good, okay, I'm a new hockey collector and I'm looking for this. Would this be the introductory product, or do they have something more comparable to, say, an opening day or a big league baseball that might be, because the $70 price point's not a deterrent whatsoever, but would this be the product that you guys would steer a new collector towards?
Definitely. One, you get the cool factor of opening a tin of cards. Not so much like the 98 or so Pinnacle can where you had to, pop it open like a regular can. But
which I think you can they're still producing those, by the way.
They probably still are. Probably straight here in Grand Prairie. But it's the introductory. There's not really an opening day per se. There's not a stickers product. There's not a whatnot.
Yeah, so for $70, this is your go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. There is MVP, which comes out right before the season starts.
Right.
So you get your first rookie cards of players that didn't get rookie cards the previous season. But then it's really weird to open up a box of hockey cards in August. Other than that,
Yeah. But yeah, this definitely is for $70. This is going to be your. If I, Ben and I, if we were going to go and open a box, I believe, from what I hear from these guys and a lot of other folks, this is what we want to do. And also to the young guns, right, or the rookies you want to have in your collection.
Right. And so, as I mentioned before, the NHL in association with Upper Deck came up with the brilliant idea that you cannot produce a card of a player until he plays a National Hockey League game. And they started it long time ago. I don't want to say the 80s when they introduced the Young Gun series, but it's something that they've kept up with, and that's where Series 2 is kind of an attraction in that you get all the players that made their debut back in October and November and December.
Yeah.
So real quick, James, I want to go build a 50-card Young Gun set. Now in Baseball Series 1, most of the inserts are fairly easy to acquire, depending, of course, on shipping costs if you're buying from multiple sellers. Young Guns, is that going to be an expensive set for me to piece together?
If you're going to buy packs, yeah. If you're going to put it together by buying individual cards, you probably spend $250 to $300 putting the set together. So what some collectors do is they'll wait until the following year and they'll pick these cards up less at lower prices, because they do tend to drop before they go back up. Out of sight, out of mind. Also, there are folks like Brent and Becca, only the hockey version of them, somewhere up in Calgary, that busted about 30 cases of this, and they're selling the sets. So that's another way. If you wanted to get a hold of a fresh, clean set, that's another way to do it.
Yeah, I've heard of that guy, because I know he sends in a bunch of graded one. He grades a ton of them through Beckett. So I would love to meet the Canadian version of Brent and Becca.
My back hurts just thinking about it, but
yeah.
Right. Naturally, based on your Twitter profile, we kind of know the answer to this one, but for everyone else, do you collect any individual player or team? And if so, who?
Well, yeah, I collect the Philadelphia Flyers. I'm working on an all-time set. I'm nowhere near as far along the road as Michael was with his Phillies set. And Nolan Patrick, Travis Konechny, Carter Hart. I believe I've got every base card that Upper Decks produced for Carter Hart from the minors up until now, up until Series 2, because we did get lucky. I wasn't going to go through more than 2 boxes looking for this, but we did manage to, in box number 2 was, we did manage to get lucky on that one. And so, yeah, definitely a big time Philadelphia Flyers collector. If something really cool pops up, if I happen to luck into a low numbered insert, fine, or a low numbered jersey card, but it's going to have to be something really cool for me to go after a low numbered. So like this year, the 1,000-point Bobby Clark card, if that shows up at a price that doesn't make me want to gag, then yeah, maybe I'll jump on it, or if I luck into it, sure. But otherwise, definitely getting the base card, getting the Young Guns, and the SP Authentic Future Watch rookies is something I try to do every year.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh.
No, I was just gonna say, Steph brought this up earlier, and I talked about the Whalers. So, does any city deserve to get their team back? Like Hartford, Quebec, ones that have lost. Even Kansas City used to have the Scouts, right? That became the Devils. Do they deserve a team back? And if so, who would you move?
I'm going to be a little biased because I went to college in Springfield, Missouri. So I think Kansas City is definitely a city that could support an NHL team. The harder part is, who do you move?
Phoenix?
Phoenix is doing well out there. You see Phoenix and Tampa and Florida Panthers. Doesn't seem like a place where hockey would be good, but if it's 110 degrees out and you can go into a cool building and watch a sport, that's not a bad deal.
Good
Especially,
point.
I don't know who you'd move there. I'd just say NHL has expanded to Vegas. I think it was pretty silly to expand into Seattle. Other than football, no sports team has really thrived up there. The Mariners had Griffey Jr. and A-Rod and Randy Johnson, and they couldn't sell out. So they really think they're going to make hockey work when they lost the NBA.
I'm going to let you know right now, they're going to be called the Seattle Sasquatches. Or the Seattle Sasquatch, that's what I'm going with right now. That's the name they have to go with.
I'm completely non-biased in saying this answer, but the Dallas Stars should move.
Oh, I think the Minnesota Wild should move to Kansas City, and I could get behind that.
Hashtag fuck Norm.
Ken in the chat room says he would move the Panthers and Coyotes to Quebec City and Hartford.
Sure. Those were actually the 2 cities that I mentioned as deserving of a. No city is naturally deserving of a city, but there are some teams that make a little bit more sense, like Minnesota getting their team back after a certain team screwed us, or the Colorado getting a team. That kind of makes sense. It's a snow city, unlike Florida or St. Petersburg or even Miami. Not that they have teams, but example.
Have you ever been into any memorable games or run into any players? Any good stories there?
When I was in college, I had occasion to deliver a pizza to a hotel room with Brett Hull and several other very intoxicated St. Louis Blues. I was able to get Hull and a couple of the others to sign the lid of the pizza box. That got destroyed in a flood, but I'll have that memory forever. I'm sure they don't remember it.
That's awesome.
I was in Philadelphia. I used to work downtown in Philadelphia, and there was for some reason I had to take my 3-year-old daughter downtown with me, and we're in line at a Starbucks, and my youngest, who's now almost 13, takes off in the Starbucks, which is terrifying. She runs up to this guy and grabs him by the leg, and it turns out it was Scott Hartnell, and Scott Hartnell was nothing but a gentleman with her. It was very, very nice. So that was a great experience too, because he could have been he could have really flipped out. But I guess if you get hit by 250 pounders every day, a 3-year-old running up to you and hugging your leg is really not going to bother you. But it was very cool, and she'll be a fan of his forever.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about the like hockey guys and like the NASCAR drivers are probably some of the most friendly guys out and about with the public. So, are you a fan of NHL or Olympics, or do you only follow, or do you follow the collegiate game and/or any NWHL or the
CHL.
CHL?
Not much. I mean, I'll keep an eye on stats and whatnot, but there's only so much time in a day.
Sure.
Oh, definitely. Well, we kind of want to move on. I appreciate all the hockey talk because we don't talk a lot of hockey, and we have some listeners that love it, and so we were trying to get more of it, and we appreciate you hopping on. And we kind of want to go into the other half of it here, the lawyer side. We've kind of gone back and forth. And last week we talked a little bit about the lawsuit that was filed against Panini in regards to redemptions. Have you read any of this or heard anything about it?
I didn't read the pleading. I didn't read the complaint. And I think my first reaction was similar to, I think Ben's reaction was that this was kind of a bit of a joke. But I did listen to an interview that the attorney who was handling the case had with Sports Card Radio. Who was it?
Yeah, it was with Ryan Tenards. Yeah, I listened to that one as well this weekend.
And most of my career has been defense, so flipping me is hard. But he did kind of make me think there's a little bit more to it than that. And this is also the same law firm that handled some of the BP oil spill case. So I don't think that they would be getting into this if they didn't think there was something there.
Okay. Yeah, and guys, you should give that a listen, and it's a really good interview. And I was very surprised on how frank the lawyer was about kind of what their ideas and some of their strategies were going to be, just putting it out there. So it was interesting and kind of give you some background. And it's not a typical Sports Card Radio interview. They kind of did a real just 60 minutes kind of an interview. And, it was interesting. They talked about the points and stuff, but are there with redemptions, do you believe that they're a legal thing since they're a promise to fulfill an advertised guarantee at a later date and time?
Well, wow.
No, you can talk in generality because we don't have to get into specifics here, but and if you want to talk in the abstract, we're completely fine with that as well. We don't want to put anybody in a bad spot. So
no, I appreciate it. I think redemption cards, it's a stand-in for something that the company is going to produce. As long as they're fulfilling it as they state that they're going to on the package, then I don't see a problem with it. Panini has, I don't know how Topps is with redemptions, or Upper Deck's pretty good with redemptions lately, but Panini at one point was issuing products, and the joke was, "Oh, I can't wait to go and pick up my Panini Redemptions and Stars product." So if anybody abused it, they did, and I don't have any sympathy for them if this law firm can get a restraining order on them for producing cards. I mean, that would be their just desserts for how bad it's been. But as far as redemption, as long as you're clear that the product could contain redemptions, and this is how the parameters it's going to be in, I do understand the argument that these are kids or your consumers sometimes, and that they're not going to be sophisticated enough to understand a contract. But the other, contract, but what the terms on the box are. The other argument is not everything in this country is produced at the understanding level of a child. So we can't have everything in this country sold or business done in something that a 6-year-old could understand. So from that perspective, I think that's the weakest part of their argument in the Panini case. But as far as redemptions go, as long as you're fulfilling the redemptions, I don't see where there's a problem.
No, I just have a quick follow-up. What about the expiration dates? Because usually it's like a 2-year thing, and sometimes products are available after 2 years, and you open something up, and they've been, I guess, pretty good about filling expired redemptions with another card. But my question is if they're doing that and they're willing to take expired ones, why wouldn't they extend that out to say 5 years? Because I think after 5 years, your expectation of that card being available, that's kind of take your own chance. 2 years just kind of seems a short turnaround for me.
without getting into specifics, especially because this is seated in Texas and I'm not admitted to practice there, I would think that each state would probably have its own consumer protection agency that may or may not have looked at this. I think 5 years is reasonable. It's not like they're taking these autographed cards or whatever they're supposed to be redeeming and throwing them in the shredder after 2 years. I can understand that you don't want them piling up forever, but 5 years seems reasonable.
I've seen the inside of Panini's headquarters. They've got everything piled up from previous years. Now, it's just a matter of getting it produced and signed.
So a quick follow up. Our friends over at Mojo Break were talking about redemptions earlier on their the Hype podcast or show, and Doug had said that as a breaker he would prefer if Panini would release who is a redemption. Saquon Barkley was who they mentioned. Do you think that, first off, I think the lawsuit is frivolous. I do think that Panini and Topps get what they get if this lawsuit goes forward and they're found liable for anything. Hey, that's just the cost of doing business this way. Now, do you think that it would be advantageous if Panini released who was unsigned as of release date? To me, I was in their chat room and I said, there's no reason for them to do it. There's no cost benefit whatsoever. The product sells anyway.
I guess that putting it on a website with a checklist that this is a redemption, that couldn't hurt. You're obviously not going to print it on the box. And I think that's the basis of the case is the box.
He said Panini and checklist being released on release day.
Well, that's exactly what I said. I said that in the chat room. I was like, listen, you want them to tell us that Saquon Barkley's a redemption in the product? We can't even get the checklist until 7 days after the product's on the shelf. We can build our own checklist. I said, come on.
Once upon a time, Panini had a hockey license, and they released checklists and products with 30 to 40 redemption cards in every case, and it's left such a bad taste in my mouth that I haven't considered buying a Panini product in, 5 years, 6 years.
Congratulations.
It was really easy to get rid of them once they lost their hockey license. It's like, okay, I can pretend this doesn't exist anymore. Go make stickers.
Yeah, if not for Donruss, and I know that Steph's a big fan of the Diamond Kings and the Optic and stuff. Yeah, if not for the Donruss brand that Panini holds, I wouldn't be very much of a. I mean, I like National Treasures, but it wouldn't break my heart if I never bought National Treasures again, especially since it's expensive. But
sure.
So a question is brought up. You have Topps who has a license at one point for football. And we'll just say, we'll use the name Joe Smith, is a quarterback for, a random team. And he is contracted by Topps to sign these autographs. And then they insert redemptions because at the time of the release, they weren't, live. Now Topps loses the license. What happens with the contract? Is Joe Smith still obligated by the contract? And I know we haven't seen the contract, but in the abstract, does that just kind of go away?
In most contracts, there'll be a clause of futility, whereas if, for example, say you contract with a roof builder to put a roof on your house and then tornado takes your house out, God forbid. Well, you're not going to force the roofer to come there and still put a roof on what's left of your house.
Gotcha.
So when Topps lost its football license, the Joe Smith autograph redemption may or may not have been futile. Now, they had the redemptions out. They still had an obligation to fulfill them. So unless the NFLPA or the NFL is not even allowing them to release that and that to fulfill the redemptions, and that's another issue, I think you could still expect Mr. Smith to sign the cards. Now, there is no way to force somebody to sign an autograph, but there can be penalties in a contract or whatnot if you don't sign the autographs. But I don't think that Topps losing their license by itself would be a reason why the player wouldn't have to sign. Now, if he had live redemptions, now let's say Topps lost their football license in 15?
That was the last year.
Yep.
All right. So let's say they had signed Smith for a 2015 to a 2017 contract. You're going to sign 2,000 autographs a year. Well, in 2016, there's no more Topps football. So then it's the purpose of the contract's frustrated. So I think that would be one where you wouldn't be able to enforce that because it would be futile.
It basically be if he had anything open from 2014. I mean, we've all bought redemptions on the secondary market, or a lot of us have, going after specific players or teams. And so, yeah, you hope that those get signed. And if act of God, if Topps loses this license, what happens to Joe Smith's 2014 redemption? I suppose as long as I get something comparable based on what Topps sees as fair market value at that time, it kind of all comes out in the wash. So that kind of answered both of our next questions at the same time. So we'll kind of move on. What is your opinion of the state of the hobby right now?
I'm a guy who's only into the two of the sports, so I couldn't speak much to football or basketball, other than I see these enormous prices going for basketball cards, and it's like, okay, I don't understand how or why, but fine, good for them. I don't like the exclusives. It seems like it gives an opportunity for the manufacturer to be lazy. Now, from what I've seen, Topps hasn't been and Upper Deck hasn't been, but there's also less of an opportunity, less of a reason for them to compete against each other. When Topps and Pacific and Upper Deck were all out there, and Pinnacle, and they were out there competing with each other, you got some crazy stuff, including those ridiculous cards in a can and all that other insanity in 97, 98. But you got some really memorable product too. Now you can pretty much depend every year, Upper Deck 1, Upper Deck 2, SP Authentic, Topps Chrome with 50 different parallels. There hasn't been anything really new in a while, and at some point it could get stale. And the other thing I see is that how many Acuna rookie autographs were released last year, or Ohtani? It seems to be a different form. I don't know if it's coming out right, but a different form of the flooding that we saw the market in the 80s, where they're probably still printing 88 Donruss somewhere, it seems like.
I actually found a new variation.
Yeah, we've made that joke about not feeding late 80s Donruss after midnight, and odds are somebody's still printing that stuff, like. But yeah, we like to ask everyone that comes on the state of the hobby, because I think everybody has a slightly different perspective. Again, I was talking in the Mojo chat today, and I mentioned to Dan of Mojo Break that it is the breaker era, right? I think we were all talking about that on Twitter most recently over the last week. And there's a lot of product being released. Somebody in their chat room said the baseball cards or the hobby is gone in 2 years. And it's like, oh, come on.
No.
This hobby will be around forever in some form. It may not be as recognizable to you, but so here's a two-part question.
Well, I know that can I jump in for a second?
Oh, absolutely, go for it.
I know that the breakers take a lot of heat for pushing price of product up, especially the Bowman product. But for a guy a collector like me, it's like Mojo and Midwest Breaks and a couple of the other breakers out there. It's a godsend, because it's like, okay, well, maybe godsend's a bit much, but it's like, okay, so I'm collecting one specific team. I can buy my team. I don't have to mess with the sorting. It shows up relatively quickly. And if I get a big hit, great. And if I'm not, then I spend $30 or $40 for a case worth of my team. So that's awesome.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. There's nothing wrong with having. It's fun to have a lot of these extra cards, whether you go to a fan fest or a private signing, or you have other collectors locally that are also looking to complete sets, to have some of that stuff to trade off or just give away, expand the hobby. It's so much fun. And so because you do collect both baseball and hockey, what one card would you own respectively in both sports if you could only have one?
Okay. Well, 85-86 OPG Paye that you guys sent me, thank you very much, would be the hockey one for sure. And for baseball, my brother and I and my cousins, we used to go down to this little shop, not shop, like deli, and we were in a military neighborhood, so we would always get the OPGs. And we used to complain about these crappy cards that were English and French. Boy, we didn't know any better at the time, because that actually wound up being a good deal. But in 1982, I would go down with my allowance and I'd buy 10 packs of 1982 Topps because that was the one year we got Topps, and it seemed like every other pack got I got a Juan Bonilla out of it, and it got to the point where my mom would say, "Are you going to go down and get your 5 Juan Bonilla cards today?" I'm like, "Yeah, Mom, I'm going down to get my." So that stupid 1982 Juan Bonilla card that followed me around forever, I would hang on to one of them. That would be my other one.
That's awesome, because what's even more awesome is we have your address now. And so if you get an onslaught of Juan Bonilla cards, it's your fault for giving us your address. Because anytime we come across them, guess what, honey? It's coming home.
Right.
That's funny.
Yeah, I knew that was probably gonna be your hockey card. We saw when we mentioned this when we had I think it was Tanner on. These are a couple of stock questions we like to use with our interviews, the final two, and it was when we talked and was like, you know what, you deserve. We found one. We're like, you deserve this card, and it needs to be back. And Ben always talks about making sure we're caretakers, but the card's in the right home, and we knew that card belongs with you. And you've been so helpful and so generous with everything that you've shared on Twitter about us and feedback. And that was one of our simple ways of saying thank you. And we really appreciate you hopping on with it. We know it's late back there; it's 11:30, and we appreciate you hopping on and spending half hour with us tonight and talk about sports cards. So thank you.
Yeah, it's great. I appreciate it. It's been nice to be on. Yeah, I'm going to hop out now because it's getting late. I'll listen to the rest of it tomorrow.
All right. Have a good night.
Thank you so much, James. Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, you always can follow James at Philly Puck Fan on Twitter. Really good follow. Always has some really good insight. And, it's good to have somebody that's, that talks hockey with you and can give you some good insight. So we appreciate that. So we're going to hop into the week that was. The week that was last week's releases. So Topps Living, February 6th through the 13th, week 48. We only saw 9,549 cards sold. It was the 47th week out of 48. So it was back-to-back weeks below 10,000, the only 2 weeks below 10,000. We had card 142, Freddie Freeman, first baseman of the Atlanta Braves, sold just over 3,400. He placed 127 out of the first 144 cards. Ryan O'Hearn, rookie first baseman of my Kansas City Royals. I picked up 3 of them. He actually finished with 3,154. Now, if anybody can tell me why that number is significant, you win a prize.
Can I answer it?
No, you can't. The guys in the chat. We'll give it a second. All right, so I don't see anybody coming through, but Ben, what's your answer?
That's what Chris Davis, the Orioles hit, his batting average?
No. That's the amount of hits Rod Carew has.
It's the amount of hits George Brett has.
Oh, nobody cares.
Yes.
Mike Schmidt, Kevin Seitzer.
And that was card. He placed 138 out of 144. And then card number 144, Jed Jorko, third baseman, St. Louis Cardinals, sold 2,974 cards, finished in 143rd spot, the second lowest since week 2. Card number 6, Nick Markakis, and he sold just under 300, or just almost 300 cards more than Markakis at 296. We're at a total print run right now of over 906,000. So yes, there we go. Brett hits. Guys, what would you think about this week?
It's another Topps week. I mean, it's a dud. I'm surprised, Tim, you didn't buy more than 3,000 Ryan O'Hearns yourself, but I wouldn't necessarily say that it's a downturn in the set as a whole. It's just spring training's right around the corner. It's not a major supreme all-star list or anything. There's no Mike Trout. There's no Harper. There's no major rookie release. No offense to Beans' addiction to Jed. But, I mean, what were they supposed to just print money just because it's a new week?
Yeah.
No, it's another vanilla week. We kind of talked about Greinke and then Freeman back-to-back weeks being the headliners. I mean, Greinke didn't even win his week. He wasn't the highest seller. When I saw that Jerko was under 3 for the first time we've seen that since Markakis, it didn't shock me because of who it was. It just shocked me kind of in general that here's where it's at. I mean, you have 4 weeks left at an average of 9 to 10,000 cards a week, we're going to see a print run of right around 950. So it's not going to break the million. I don't see 2019 to 2020 over the next 52 weeks coming anywhere near 950. I mean, we're talking they might be lucky to hit 500,000 going into year 2 of this product.
Yeah,
right.
We will see. We also had 2018 Panini One Football, which we're going to talk about later in the show, come out this last week, and then also 2018 Leaf Autograph Multi Jersey Sport Edition. Hopping into hot off the presses, this week's new releases. Topps Living, the week of the February 13th to the 21st, our 49th week. Card number 145 is pitcher Justin Verlander of the Houston Astros. He's the 5th Astro. We have card 146, Cedric Mullins, rookie outfielder, Baltimore Orioles, 5th Oriole. Be ready for a lot of his autographs. I think he lived at Topps in the offseason. And then card 147, Jose Urena, pitcher for the Miami Marlins, our 4th Marlin. I will probably pick up Mullins just to go with the rest of my rookies, but anybody driving you to pick up a card this week?
I've already bought Verlander. Man, this is what irritates me about this set. And we've talked about this before, both on here as well as Twitter. Verlander's not an Astro. I mean, he is right now. We talked about Goldschmidt not getting the Diamondbacks card. It's like, I saw Verlander and I'm like, it's just the wrong hat.
I mean, Verlander is an ass, but I mean, that's just because of a couple photos that came out.
Him coming out this week. Him coming out this week talking about other players' contracts too is just asinine. He's like, "Oh, why aren't these guys getting these long-term deals?" I'm like, "Well, speaking economically, finally, baseball, front offices are realizing let's not give Dallas Keuchel, on the downside of his career, a Barry Zito type contract." Nobody wants to give Keuchel 7 years at $120+ million.
So you mean the Joe Mauer contract was fruitless?
Not necessarily at the time. I mean, you have to go back and look at it through the eyes of what was the market when he signed that. Hometown kid. I mean, there was a lot of stuff going. Good looking dude, marketable.
Boston and the Yankees both looking for new catchers. Yeah.
At that time, what was it, like 7 years, $105 million, if I remember?
183.
How old was he? He was what, 27, 28 when he signed it?
2009, 83, 26, 27.
Okay, so you take a 27-year-old kid and you're offering him an average annual value of, roughly, 23 million, somewhere in there.
Something like that.
What's he going to get today? Today, if he was to get 23 million, because I mean, there are guys that got it. Who was it that just got the one with the Brewers? Was it Grandal or somebody?
I think so.
He might get 23, but I guarantee you it would be like a 4-year, $80 million deal, 80 to 90,
right,
and with maybe a 5th-year option or something along those lines. You're not going to get a 7-year deal, especially for a catcher. And there's not going to be another catcher that's going to get a contract of that size because of Mauer and Posey. And these guys that are now all of a sudden first baseman the second half of their career.
Right.
But yeah, anyhow, Verlander I bought, but he's not an Astro.
He still bought it. So it'll be interesting. I think we're going to have close to a 10,000 card week, but we will see. I don't think anybody's really driving the market there. We also had 2018 Panini Plates and Patches football released today. It's $135 a box. You're going to get 1 pack, 5 cards per pack, and this is your box break. You're going to get 1 autograph card, 1 mem, 1 printing plate, 1 parallel number to 50 or less, and a base card. So good luck putting the base set together. So action photography is one of the focal points of this series. There's 240 base cards. The first 200 are just base cards, all numbered to 99 with 5 parallels. The remaining 40 are action or rookie auto patches, and they're all numbered to 99 with 3 parallels, except for Mark Walton. And card number 224, he's a 1 of 1, and he's a gold parallel only, which tells me that either the rest of his cards were damaged and or lost after he signed them, right?
You would think.
Something like that,
yeah. There's 30 plus autograph cards. I just stopped counting. There's 30 plus autograph card sets and over 5 mem sets.
It's Mojo opened up quite a few. They had like 3 different case breaks going on today, and it was a phenomenal looking product. Like you said, everybody gets every box is going to get a printing plate, mostly from 2017, 2018. Saw Mahomes and a Brady pulled. good value. You get your base cards, which are low numbered to 10 to 30, just depending on luck of the draw. The relics are phenomenal. The patches that they use are fantastic. And then you get your auto, RPAs and stuff like that as well. The only one thing I don't like about they have like the vertical triple patches, and then they have like a horizontal triple patch, which the vertical ones look like there were 3 players on average. The horizontal was just 1 player, but there was like a little white strip on the bottom. It almost looked like they should have been signed there. Both Doug and Dan had mentioned that. It's not the best looking design, but overall the patches kind of offset the fact that there's this area that looks like it's lacking a signature. So it's a phenomenal product. I definitely recommend going back and watching their breaks if you're have some time, because it's a good looking product.
We also had 2018 Leaf Flash Baseball releases Friday, $100 a box, 1 pack per box, 6 cards per pack, and they're all going to be autograph cards. So this is Leaf's brand. This is the first year they've debuted this product, and they have a similar product in football. It's an all signature release, and it has lots of sparkle and colored cards. And Leaf didn't directly say that the specific amount that was released, but they said it's ultra limited production for this baseball product, and it's much less than they had for 18 Leaf Draft Baseball, which came out a few weeks ago. So I don't know what you're trying to say, but they say it's a very limited product. So
there it is.
Yeah, so more baseball from Leaf. And then we'll move on to what's brewing next week's releases. We have a handful. It's going to be pretty interesting. So it's 2018-19 Panini Impeccable Basketball, 2018 Panini Select Football, 2018 Leaf Metal Sports Heroes, Hobby and Jumbo, and then 2018 Leaf Best of Basketball. So very interesting. I'm kind of interested on this Leaf Metal Sports Hero, Hobby, and Jumbo, right? So they're usually not a jumbo product company. So I kind of want to see what that's all about. As we move on to Infield Chatter, Hobby Talk section, there was a great video that was produced, and we'll tweet it out, about a 1921 Shotwell Babe Ruth. So a gentleman by the name of Dale Ball of Visalia, California, which isn't too far here from Ben and I, a few hours. He purchased the Ruth from a place called Action Sports Cards and Coins in Sparks, Nevada. It's a pawn shop type spot, and he bought it for $2. The card was originally listed for $8, and the shop was having an 80% off sale, so he got quite a deal. He asked the owner if it was $80. He said, no, it's $8, but we're doing 80% off today, so it's $2. The owner thought it was fake because he couldn't locate the card anywhere, so Dale took a shot and just whatever, it's $2, right? Like a scratcher.
Right.
So he spent 3 days researching to find information on the card, but he was able to locate some info. He was able to locate the Shotwell logo and watermark to confirm the card was real. He contacted multiple organizations about the card, and they all wanted to see it right away, including the Baseball Hall of Fame. They all wanted to take a pic of the card, and he mentioned that he'd only sell the card. The bidding starts at, any guesses?
100,000, yeah.
100,000? No, 2 million.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. He said he might rent the card to the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he said if he were ever to sell the card, he would definitely give the owner of the pawn shop where he purchased it would receive a cut after dropping the ball on selling a very rare Babe Ruth card. So I don't know if you guys checked out the video, but we'll share it. I think Steph just threw it in the link. And but what would you guys do if you found a card that rare at a pawn shop for $2?
1, call up an attorney. 2, set up a bank security deposit box. 3, do what this guy's doing. Contact authentication companies. Contact the Hall of Fame if they want to see it. Contact the individual auction houses. Say, hey, I have this. It's been authenticated now. And 3, take that person out for a really nice meal and a chip of the
Ben, what would you do?
Man, that would be hard. I would definitely. I mean, we just had James on, who's a lawyer. You definitely would want to talk to somebody and have them walk you through the process of, okay, now what? Once it's been authenticated and I have this card, and then you'd probably want to talk to some experts in the hobby. We know quite a few people that we could probably turn to that could kind of give us an idea of, are we looking at a $50,000 card, 100,000, 2 million? What are the odds of this card being really worth that kind of money? Just because it's rare doesn't mean it's exponentially more expensive than something else. Yeah. I hate when you see that on Antiques Roadshow or Pawn Stars or any of these shows that deal with collectibles when they're like, well, find another one. Well, that doesn't define rarity. It just, value, I should say. Rarity, yes. Value, no. I mean, plenty of rare things aren't worth anything. So, but yeah, ultimately at the end of the day, you're talking about life-changing money to some degree, being able to pay off your house or, possibly, I wouldn't say retire, because $2 million isn't going to last forever, especially after taxes, especially here in the state of California. But it'd be really hard to pass up banking that kind of money over a piece of cardboard, Yep.
No, definitely. And it's one of those things like, it'd just be amazing. I remember one time Ben, you gave me a bunch of cards in a box, and I took a screenshot of like was that 54 maze or 56 maze, and said, "Hey man, thanks for the maze." And it was just from the internet. And Ben's like, "I left that. I put that in there. I didn't even know I had that in there."
I was going to do that to you.
Can you please give it back to me? I'm so sorry. And I said, "Man, no, man, give it to me. It's mine."
Finders keepers, man. I was going to actually do that to you the other day with all those cards you gave me. Say that there was, pull Reggie Jackson rookie out and snap it and go, dude, really?
Yeah.
We are best friends.
Yep. We talked about Panini One releasing. So this was shared with us by one of our viewers / listeners at Doc Breaks. And it was from JM Box Breaks, box/case breaks on that. They're on Facebook and they're also on Twitter. They were opening a case of Panini One football this Sunday, and about the 6 minute and 15-second mark, the breaker opens the 9th box, and there's no card. And the video, he's going to ask Panini to replace. He's going to DM Panini to replace the card per Twitter. There wasn't a public response that I'd seen, or any. I didn't see any resolution. I don't know what's going on, but I'm sure they're going to replace the missing card. Or there's video of it. That's really not the conversation. It just led me to a bigger conversation. The bigger question is what this video brings up, and Steph's going to share the video with us.
I'm going to put it in chat as well at the timestamp of it being opened.
Thank you. What would happen if, Ben, you were at home and you spent $125 on a box? There's one card in it. You went and you either, you bought it online, you bought it at a card shop, whatever it was. And it's got the Panini wrapper on it, just like this one did. You slice open the box, you're all by yourself, no one's there, and it's empty. What would you do? And what do you think the manufacturer should do, but what do you think they would do?
So the short of it is you're screwed. What will they do? They're not going to do anything for you because you have no video proof, right? You're literally opening up Pandora's box. What should they do? Nothing, because again, they're opening up Pandora's box. Unfortunately, things happen. You can bring it to their attention. All they're going to do is give you some corporate line, about, our quality control, and we'll do better moving forward. And maybe they take care of you and send you, a box of 2012 Triple Play. But
right.
At the end of the day, if I do it and then I tell you, hey, guess what? I have the box, right? So I can send them anything that they want to prove that I purchased it. I have my receipt from Blowout Cards or Dave and Adams or wherever I got it from, a local card shop. So I can give them, but what's to stop everybody under the sun from doing it? So you can't do anything, unfortunately, if you're in Panini's position.
Yeah.
I would say that if you're going to break something that's high end, or just something more than Series 1, Series 2, that you videotape it anyway. One, you can look back at it, but two, just for your own sake. Not that you should have to.
Just to cover your
However,
ass.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
CYA.
Well, and most of us are on Twitter, right? So it's one of those things where you might want to tape it because, I mean, how often are you going to buy a high-end product like that?
Right.
If we buy, I mean, Tim and I were recently at a card shop just this past weekend together. If we had bought a high-end product, yeah, we're going to tape it and we're going to throw it up on Twitter because we want to share it with all of our friends.
We did open a high-end box, dude.
We did. It was what 2000 or 1991
Upper Deck Baseball.
We did. But that's one of those things. When in doubt, especially he mentioned after in the video, it felt light. So if it feels light, then like you said, CYA, right? Just film it, delete it if you have to, but at least you have it there. I know a lot of people on Facebook now, due to scamming and whatnot, are opening all their mail days from trades, anything that's not protected. And
those are Facebook morons, and whatever. Facebook's dumb. I'm sorry. People can say Twitter's dumb, but Facebook's way dumber.
Well, they do say people that are on Twitter have a exponentially higher IQ than those that are on
we
Facebook.
Can communicate in less characters. I miss the old characters. No, so it was just one of those things, what to do. I mean, because we all are in that position. We're not breaking cases. Most of us aren't breaking cases and taping it. And, that gets kind of scary. I want to get back to the card shops we went to this weekend. Unfortunately, we met up with listener Brian, as I like to call him, Brian Bobice, down in Modesto. We hit up the new Teammates, new rebranded store, and then we hit up another store. It was called Baseball Card Addict, and it was like addict, like we use like above your house, like
ICT.
Yeah, not like you're addicted. And good Lord, that second store, huge store, completely full. The aisles, things were stacked on stacked on stacked on stacked on stacked on stacked. There must have been, give or take, what, 5,000 figures, sports figures, like starting lineups, and there's thousands of Hot Wheels and die cast. Like the cases were covered, you couldn't see the cards in the cases. Sets on sets on sets, tons of sets. I wanted to buy, Topps football sets, and they were all priced about 75% above what they should be. And it was weird because I didn't want to. It was called Baseball Fan Addict. There we go, Fan Addict. I didn't want to ask the guy because he didn't seem super friendly about dealing with stuff. So I didn't want to try to haggle with him my first time in. But I kept having dreams about having all that big of a store and all of that product and what I could do with Brian and Ben and how we could turn it around in a heartbeat. But anyway, that's a topic for another day. But good Lord, if you're in Modesto, go just check it out for the sheer amount of stuff that's in one building of that size.
Yeah, and then one thing that's funny is we stopped at the purpose of going down there was our friend Greg's shop, Teammates. He had rebranded it, moved it down a couple of doors, and while we were in there opening up our upper deck, this guy rolls in and he's got a stack of probably 30-40 cards of just some Michael Jordan stuff, all quarter 50-cent cards, and he had a 50 or an 87 Fleer Update McGuire. He had an 86 Fleer Canseco Plunk rookie card, and I was like, he had a Barry Bonds, was it Topps or Donruss? I can't recall. And he had a 65 Marichal, and we're like, these are like really the only cards of any true value. Yeah. And I told him, I said, hey, I'll give you $1 a piece on the McGuire and the Canseco. And he's like, nah, I'll just take them home and put them in a closet. And so I was like, all right, I'll give you $3. He goes, all right, make it $4 and you got a deal. And I'm like, just to save these cards from that dude's closet, I had to give him $4, even though I can get them all day long for $1 a piece. And I told Tim, I said, hey, why don't you pick up the 65 Marichal, offer the dude $5. And so he was only probably wanting $20-25 for the whole bag. And we gave him $9 for really all of the value out of that bag. Well, what was funny is when we went over to the other card shop, this guy, I mean, he's got an 85 McGuire for $80. And Tim's like, dude, the guy ends up walking in as we're walking
real
out.
Quick, he had the Plunk Canseco card listed for like $60.
Yeah, so
and the guy
we're walking walking out. The guy walks in. We get in Tim's car. We're driving away, and he goes, "Dude, that guy's probably going to be pissed when he realizes you just gave him $2 for the Conseco." And he looks in that dude's case, and dude's got one listed for whatever it was, some ridiculous.
Yeah, it was $40 to $60, somewhere in that price. I think that was his favorite sticker, $40 to $60.
And he's going to think that I ripped him off, not knowing that this guy, literally everything in that guy's store is 800% over.
Or it was priced with a 1987 Beckett. So,
oh yeah, I don't think all those sets and stuff like that. I mean, they've been in there since the 80s, no doubt.
Well, no, I mean he had 15 to 20 2012 Topps football sets, all listed at $75. Anyway.
What's funny is the Teammates store had a stack of 20 David Robinson rookie cards, $2 a piece. And I thought about bringing them home just because they need to be saved from that box. We go over to the other store, and he's got one for $20. I'm just like, dude, literally, I can go 3 miles up the road and get 10 of them for $20.
And you should have brought them there and sold them, maybe made a profit. Anyway, it was a fun excursion, and then Ben's dad hung out with us. It was good to hang out with Brian. So, I want to move on. So this conversation, and I'm glad we talked about this, was kind of the car ride conversation. If you were to start a PC of a player, not from a team you currently collect, who's debuted in the last 10 years, so since 2010, and who would it be? Now we took out two guys. We took out Bryce Harper and Mike Trout. Almost said Mike Machado. I don't know why. Mike Trout. Just based on cost of where their rookie cards and autograph and prospect cards are. Okay, we took it out. Say you're starting with a mid-range budget, which most of us are dealing with. Okay, so Steph, who's your guy debuting in the last decade that you would start for the 2019 season that you would start a new PC of?
Well, nobody, but
well, I'm just saying,
right. Given the parameters,
something happens with the Twins. They say they hate all guys named Steph. They say it's got a woman's like connotation with it, and they've banned you from the ballpark.
Sure, I wouldn't surprise me, but no. I had two choices, and they said no. You have to have one, not two.
Well, Ben always has like 6 or 7, so I try to limit these guys, so we're not here all night.
Right, sure. But no, I looked at them a little bit more before I went live, and I chose one that the Twins see a lot, but that's not necessarily why I chose him. In that Francisco Lindor, great shortstop.
Yep.
Right. Made his debut super early as a 21-year-old, and he's had nothing but accolades since. Finished second in the Rookie of the Year. He's had MVP votes no lower than 10th since his rookie season. All-Star, Gold Glove, Silver Slugger, great player. By all means, great personality for the game. And that's my choice.
No, and you can find his first Bowman cards, 2011 Bowman Draft. His Topps rookie card is 2015 Topps Update. So two like key base cards. Now we're not talking autograph, just key base cards. If you want to start, and you're going to just have a cut, and those are the cards to look for. I like all of our choices, and we're also going to have some honorable mentions. But I find it interesting. All of our guys are infielders. So Benjamin, who is the guy you stole from me?
I don't even know what got us on the topic. I just remember we were driving Brian home on our way back from the card shop talking about PCs, and somehow organically in the conversation it came up with like, hey, let's, there are guys like Cespedes and Donaldson that I've collected that are no longer with the team. Do you continue that? And we were talking about our friend Drew Williams, who collects Greg Maddux, is now collecting Max Scherzer, which is kind of an interesting parallel because they're similar pitchers. Respectively, as far as their success and stats. And this was just an interesting topic of who would you choose if your favorite team went away. Out of all the names, I was like, the guy that we kind of have a younger version on the A's and Matt Chapman, it would be the Rockies' Nolan Arenado. He's a guy that great defensively, could be a franchise cornerstone. Took over the Tulowitzki or Helton as far as the face of the franchise.
Sure.
He's young. I think the purpose of this, I think, was to kind of find guys that are kind of undervalued or underappreciated in the hobby that are also superstars or on the cusp.
On the brink, yeah.
Lindor obviously is on the cusp of being a superstar. I think Arenado is a superstar. So, yeah, we want, and the reason we took Harper and Trout out is just it would just cost so much money. One of the guys I think we first mentioned was Verlander, but because he's at the tail end of his career, to go back and collect everything of his would be almost impossible to find a lot of the lower numbered cards at this point. So we wanted to really be, who could you go out and for $500 grab a lot of stuff of? And for me, Arenado, he debuted in 2013. First Bowman was 2010. His Topps rookie card was 2013 Topps update. So I think he's definitely underappreciated and undervalued compared to other players that are on par with his star.
Yep. No, and he stole him for me because, as a Brett collector, third baseman, Arenado is kind of like that star third baseman at this point in time. And kind of, Colorado, Kansas City is a small market. And, he gets overlooked a little bit, I think, as far as how good he really is as a baseball player. I think we're going to look at the end of his career and go, damn, we really missed something with this guy, not paying more attention to him. And hopefully he stays there. I really hope that he plays his whole career there. And is that Hilton type player for the Rockies, this generation of them.
And you see what they did with Charlie Blackmon.
Yeah,
they extended him. They probably extremely overpaid for him had he hit the open market. But Arenado just recently agreed to avoiding arbitration. Agreed to the 1-year deal. And from what everybody's reporting, they said that there was a long-term contract discussed. So it's very possible over the next couple of weeks we might see a 6-7 year contract. I think they're probably going to wait until Machado signs.
Yeah,
right.
Be smart. Just to see what the market is. So I went with I liked Arenado. I had a different guy listed here, and he's in the honorable mention section. So I switched this evening. I went Alex Bregman, third baseman for the Astros. He was the second pick was the 15 draft. He was the first guy from that draft to debuted in July of 16. They actually got the pick from not being able to sign Brady Aiken, who they took number 1 overall in 14, and which ended up being good because he ended up blowing out his arm, and I think he's with the Indians organization, and he's just kind of a middle line prospect at this point. And it's surprising how good the Astros are, and they blew 2 number 1 overall picks. I'm just going to say that. I mean, they passed on Chris Bryant, and they took a high school lefty pitcher with the first pick, which is the first time it's done since I think Brian Taylor, and look what happened to him. Cash to crap, still to come. I like Bregman again. Called out the Red Sox today. He called them out in the playoffs. He has this kind of a little bit of a swagger to him, but I heard stories about when he was at LSU, he had a key to their batting facility. They actually had to change the locks, take his key, and then give people had to put up a camera to make sure he would stop going to batting cages, because what he was doing is he was going to batting cages all hours of the night and just blistering his hands from just taking batting practice. The guy is a living, breathing baseball player, and that's all he wants to do. And I watch him play, and on that team with Correa and Springer, he doesn't have to be the superstar at this point. But I think in the next few years, as one of those guys maybe moves on or retires with Altuve as well, you see him become their franchise guy. And he is going to lead that team into the next decade or so of baseball. You can find his Bowman. His first Bowman was in 2016. He also has a USA card. I think it was
Stars and Stripes.
No, he has a USA Bowman card in like 13 or 14. A youngster. 20. And then his first Topps rookie was 17 Topps.
And so forgive me if I'm wrong. Now in 2012, the Astros selected Mark Appel.
Yep.
He did not sign.
No, he signed.
No, I thought he didn't sign.
He didn't sign with the Pirates when they took him the year before.
No, I don't think he signed with the Astros in 2012.
He signed with the Astros because he signed with the Astros because they traded him to Philadelphia for Ken Giles.
Okay, because I thought that Bregman was a compensatory pick.
Yeah, for Brady Aiken in 2014 when he didn't sign.
Aiken, not Appel. Okay,
Yeah, I said it earlier.
I had the two guys mixed up. I apologize.
Thanks for paying attention.
Hey, you know what? I'm doing more important things like watching puppy videos with Ken.
Oh, you and Ken, you deserve each other.
We do.
What's up, Scott? How's it going, buddy? Scott's in the chat tonight.
So speaking of picking up Alex Bregman cards, come see me, Tim. Come see me.
Yeah, that's a pretty sharp one.
All right, so our honorable mentions, we ended up with 6 on the list, but there's an asterisk on the last one. So
yep. We had Carlos Correa, who was Steph's other guy.
Yep.
Mookie Betts, who I originally was going to go with. And Ken, you're the best. Paul Goldschmidt, Goldie, new Cardinals first baseman. Freddie Freeman, the first baseman of the Braves. Matt Chapman, I put him on the list because Ben didn't force me. But I put him on the list. And then we put Shohei on here with an asterisk because, again, his stuff is kind of fluctuating in price. Some of the high-end stuff is really high-end. But you can still, like, I was at RLCS the other day, and you could pick up Topps Chrome Shohei rookies for $2 or $3. So I don't know if we're just lucky, but he had a stack of them. I know I picked up 2 for $4. I was like, awesome. Throw them in a box. Hey, I have them. So, guys, let us know if you have somebody that's not on a PC team of yours that you would collect or think about collecting. That would be great. Would be great fun. So we love to hear that stuff. And you know, whatever Ben will pay, Ken, I will pay twice as much.
You can't because I'm paying a penny more. I will pay that plus 1 penny.
Okay.
For anybody that watches The Office, you'll get that reference about Dwight Schrute paying 1 penny more.
Cracknell chiming in
for from Phyllis Vance. So yeah,
great Ryan Cracknell. If Becca chimes in, he'd be going with Andrew Benintendi. That's one we left off the list. That's a good one.
That is, and it's a serious missed opportunity on the hands of the crew behind RBI Baseball that he's yet to make the cover art for the Switch edition. Come on, Nintendo Switch, Benintendi.
Yes,
you guys can't throw him up on the cover.
No, and Benintendi's another guy that I think is going to fly under the radar for a while because of Mookie Betts. And you got Devers there too now, and I think what's going to happen is, like you said about Arenado, we're going to look back 6-7 years from now and go, man, we could have had his stuff for a song compared to what it ends up going for, especially if the Red Sox end up winning another World Series or two over the next, 4 or 5 years.
Brian Bice pointed out, Appel was drafted 3 times: the Tigers in 09, Pirates in 12, Astros in 13. Because 13, 14, they had back-to-back first round, number 1 overall picks. That's what it was. So thank you, Brian, for that awesome knowledge. We're going to move on to Iconic Collection. So we have 3 weeks left, and spring training ramps up right now. I saw some pitchers and catchers today. We're going to be revealing our most iconic card for each Major League franchise. We'll cover one division each week, and that host will pick a card he thinks is most iconic, and we will debate. At the end, we'll pick the top card from each division and then compare. So last week we had the NL East, and Ben had it was because you changed it, so it was a 54 Topps Hank Aaron, correct?
Correct.
All right, and we had the Marlins. Miami Marlins was the 2010 Topps Chrome Mike / Giancarlo Stanton. The Mets was the 86 Kuzman Ryan,
or the 68.
I mean the 68. The Phillies was the 74 Schmidt, the standalone Schmidt, the second-year Schmidt. And the Nationals was 2012 Topps Bryce Harper. And to harken back, the Orioles was the F-face Billy Ripken, the 60 Yaz, the 52 Mantle, 84 Bowman Chrome Draft Longoria Superfractor, the 90 score traded Lindros. God, the guy that did that week was awesome. 3 weeks ago, Steph did the White Sox. We had the 91 Fist, the 2000 Topps Tribunal for the Tribe or for the Indians. The Tigers, T206 Cobb. The Royals, of course, was the 85 Brett. The Twins was the 84 Fleer Update Puckett. And the original week, the let-off was the Astros 89 Craig Topps Biggio. The Angels was the 2011 Trout Update. 80 Oakland Athletics was the 80 Topps Ricky Henderson. The Mariners, of course, 89 Upper Deck Griffey. And the Rangers was the 90 Donruss Nolan Ryan 5,000 case card. So next week I will cover the NL West, the final week we'll kind of take a franchise or two from the defunct franchises. Again, the Pilots, Browns, both Senators, and the Expos. If you have any suggestions, especially any of those fans of those teams, let us know. So, Steph, you have the NL Central this week.
I do.
What is your Chicago Cubs most iconic card? An iconic franchise. Not a lot of success in the franchise history, but a lot of great players.
Absolutely. I do want you to note that I not only edited the thing that you were laughing at just a second ago, but I moved the last team into the last position.
That's fine.
You'll see, obvious reasons. But covering the NL Central, with the changes to the division, in that the Brewers are no longer in the Central.
Oh yeah.
Or, no, Astros rather.
Astros.
Correct. I went with a Tinker's Evers to Chance reference as my main choice. I do have a couple backups for each team. For the most part, the NL Central teams have been teams for 100+ years. The Cubs, the Pirates, the Reds, longtime franchises. So it's kind of hard to just pick one. But not many players get a song written about them, let alone an entire infield. Plus, I think it's the original $10,000 infield, if I'm not mistaken on that. And this card just features all three of them.
Well, that card right there says Christy Mathewson on it.
Wrong image. Ignore that. Right card.
It is the right series though.
Yeah.
Right.
I just noticed that because I was like, I know that guy on the right. He's a superstar. So real quick, as Steph pulls that up, my iconic card, kind of basic, 84 Topps Sandberg. My other suggestion was the 87 Topps traded Andre Dawson because he's got that show glow from Coming to America going on and a mean mug look.
So you went 84 Sandberg over 83 Sandberg?
Oh, that's why I'm an 83 Sandberg.
Okay,
It's been a long day, fellas, and I've been sorting 83 and 84 cards like all week.
So the two that I mean, you have the 54 Ernie Banks, which is absolutely probably more iconic, probably more recognizable at the very least, and then the 62 Lou Brock rookie card.
Sure.
And then we did have some friends that chimed in who are Cubs super collectors.
So this one he's showing real quick is Ken Hubbs. He was a rookie of the year in 62. He passed away in the offseason of 63, between 63 and 64. And it was actually
date in 1964.
Yeah, it was actually today. I was reading up on him in 60. Yeah. And so this is a rare card they did for that set where that they put in, and we haven't seen this very often.
No, it's interesting. Our friend Once a Cub mentioned the Banks rookie, the 83 Sandberg. He mentioned the Hubs. I wanted to make sure we brought that up because I don't know if there's ever been a card that would be classified like that.
He was 22 years old, guys. Like that.
There was who was the Yankee AL East pitcher? Maybe
Lytle.
That got a in memoriam too.
Was it Corey Lytle?
Yeah, it is.
When he crashed his plane into the apartment building, and they thought it was another 9/11 attack. And
terrorist. He also brought up the 84 Fleer Jay Johnstone with the umbrella hat, and the 85 Topps Dunston, as well as Ron Santos rookie card, which I believe was 61, if I'm not mistaken. And then our friend Bo over at 1 Million Cubs brought up the 54 Banks, the 61 Santo, 83 Sandberg, 88 traded Grace, Kerry Woods rookie in 97. They both brought up Chris Bryant stuff as well. So
sure,
Cubs have so many.
Oh, the Keith Comstock, Seattle Mariners / Chicago Cubs 1991 Topps.
Just picked up one of his minor league cards, the one where he's getting nutshotted.
Oh, nice. And here's that Corey Lytle. We'll get Steph with the quickness. All right, so who is the Cincinnati Reds card, Steph?
Any guesses?
I think it's the same one. Oh, you have a different one than I had. So I bet it's a guy that used to hit the baseball.
He definitely did hit the baseball. He didn't pitch the baseball, but Pete Rose.
Yeah.
Kind of downturned after he retired due to some legality issues. But when I thought of the Reds, that was my first ding in my head. It's pricey still. It's, if I'm not mistaken, a high series that year, as well as the natural Frank Robinson rookie.
Yep, that's a good looking card. Mine was a little different. You pull up mine here now. This is mine is the 68 bench with the hat backwards, that old white and red pinstriped hat. Always a card. I still need to add this card to my collection. I just always thought Johnny Bench was just amazing, and he's got I think a 30 for 30 or something coming out about him, and I can't wait to see it because he was a very interesting guy, and what hell of a baseball player.
True story. He was, when he was in the minor leagues, he's the person that was ahead on the depth chart for catchers in the Reds organization, ahead of my high school coach.
So yeah,
nice.
Blamed for keeping him out, huh?
Yeah, that's it. Right.
The two that I had for the Reds, obviously the bench, 68 bench. I honestly think as much as the 63 Rose is iconic,
Right.
for me personally, the 64 Rose, which is the rookie cup,
Sure.
mostly because there were 4 heads on Rose's rookie. So it gets a little convoluted when you got so many different guys, a lot like the 78 rookies and stuff like that.
Yeah. And so that brings us to the Milwaukee Brewers. Steph, who is your Brew Crew selection, formerly a National American League team?
Not much came to mind as opposed to the other teams. They're just not as storied as the Reds and the Cubs and the Cardinals and the other teams in that division. However, I did find one with 2 Hall of Famers and some Scrub Royal. I went there. Paul Mall and Alan Trammell and UL.
Don't dish UL, man. That throw is on point. He was a good player for a while.
It probably wasn't even top 10 Afro in the 70s. Come on, let's be serious.
Hey, looking good. That's a good one. Mine was his counterpart for a long time, the 75 Topps Yount. This goes perfectly with the 75 Brett. You can't go wrong with either one. You say Brewers, those are the first 2 guys that pop into your head, right?
You also have the 75 Hank Aaron, which was a Milwaukee Brewer, and then the other one, because I had Yount as well, is the 89 Gary Sheffield.
I personally like the 76.
Which 89 Sheffield?
What's that?
Which 89 Sheffield? Topps, Donruss,
the future stars.
Okay.
But I mean, the Yount, to me, the Yount is where it stops and ends with that team.
Yeah, that just looks wrong.
Right?
It does.
That looks like Namath in a Rams jersey.
The 75, or Willie Mays in a Mets.
Yeah.
It's
in a Royals.
Or McGuire is an A.
Yeah, exactly.
If you guys haven't checked it out, check out this month's Beckett Vintage catalog. Not only are there a couple articles, one by Night Owl, but he covers the TCMA or SSPC release that features Harmon Killebrew in a Royals card. Absolutely worthy of checking out if you guys haven't. And Night Owl, if you do listen in, you expect a mail day because I want you to sign the magazine.
I'll sign the regular Beckett from this one because I made a debut and it was some tweets. The regular Beckett from March.
But I already have your signature.
Oh, that's true. I told you you're my favorite co-host.
Yeah.
There's a 75. To me, the 75 is recognizable.
Sure.
But it's not on par with, of course, the Yount.
Yeah.
Well, and I factored in the fact that he didn't necessarily play his entire career with the Brewers. Milwaukee, sure, he did play a good chunk in Milwaukee, but not franchise.
Right.
So, moving on to a less iconic franchise, the St. Louis Cardinals.
Only the second most World Series titles.
Who is the most iconic Cardinals card?
I went a bit more recent than these previous picks. 2001 Upper Deck, number 295. True story. When I was going back through my collection after we moved from Japan, I flipped through some of my binders and was like, "Oh, hey, there's Albert Pujols. Oh, hey, it's this exact card. Sweet, I have a Pujols rookie." Things I didn't know. Because when you're a kid, you just open up packages and you have the pages, and I just kind of threw them in there and forgot all about them. Well, come to find out, I had an Albert Pujols rookie. But the Cardinals, as well as the Cubs and the Pirates, have had a slew of really great players come through their organization, and I have some of them pulled up as backups. Naturally, I mean, you got the usual Bowman. You've got the Rick and Wes Farrell. I believe one of them played through there. A slew of pitchers.
There's mine. The 54 tops Wally Moon.
Well, Ken brought up probably a more iconic one than any of what we're going to come up with, which is the most recent tops living, Jed Jerko.
Of course.
I mean,
no, look at this Wally Moon. Look at the man's unibrow. I wish to have a unibrow like that. Like Anthony Davis goes, dude. I have two or four eyebrows versus Wally Moon.
Not necessarily a card. But geek cred.
Thanks.
Now, for the Cardinals, to me, the Albert Pujols is not recognizable or iconic at all. That's just me personally. To me, it would either be the 48 Bowman Stan Musial, or not Bowman, Leaf,
Right.
or the 59 Bob Gibson is probably what I would have went with.
Sure, fair choices.
I kind of picked some. I wanted to go with the team with so much. I wanted to get a fun card. And get a little conversation going. So the final team, they're usually in the cellar anyway, the Pittsburgh Pirates. That's for you, Scott. Who did we pick for the Pirates?
Well, naturally, I chose
86 top traded Barry Bonds.
No, nor did I choose a McCutcheon rookie. Although he is a backup, and I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, Jeff King rookie.
No, I went with the most iconic card.
1988 Donruss, rated rookie Jose Lean.
No.
Chico? Oh.
Keep digging. The most iconic card in the hobby, the Wayne Gretzky, Honus Wagner. Noted for its notoriety, Wagner coming out and saying that he didn't necessarily approve of the images being used and in tobacco products that particularly aimed towards kids. This one being owned by Gretzky, briefly by Walmart for a contest.
In fact, the woman that won the contest had to sell it just to pay the taxes on it.
The tax, right. Pull up a better resolution image here. I just wanted to show specifically the Gretzky one.
So real quick, Ryan Cracknell said that his Cardinals, he's going 01 Bowman Chrome Pujols that kicked off the auto craze for the line.
Sure.
So obviously this card, along with the 52 Mantle, were the reason that I thought of this segment to begin with. It would be a good conversation piece for us because it is the most iconic. I mean, it's one of the most iconic pieces of memorabilia. It transcends the hobby. Everybody knows that card. Right. Is familiar with it, has seen that card. So the question is, what other card, if we set that one aside for a moment, like let's set aside the 52 Mantle, what's the next one?
This is a good one, but I have one, the 72 Topps Clemente.
Sure.
And it just is what the card means. I mean, it was his last produced card as an active player. Unfortunately, he perished after the season. But the look of the card of him and the way he's tossing the baseball, he's kind of looking down, is kind of a somber picture. And it is.
It really is.
It's really weird, knowing what happened after that season. It's kind of like the Leonard Skinner album cover, and they had the flames over certain guys, and those are the guys that died in the plane crash. So
what one other card that needs to be mentioned that I've always had, I mean, it was one of the first expensive cards I had as a kid was the 74 Dave Parker.
Sure. Check this out, though. And the reason I said I'd bring it up later. Andrew McCutcheon made his debut naturally with the Pirates. However, if you read his full name there.
Oh, dear Lord.
He spells it wrong, though. It's supposed to be with a PH, not an F.
He's more well known than you, so what I'm saying is, and also he's older, right?
Is he?
Yeah, 87. When was he born?
Got pulled up here. No, yeah, by 1 year.
Okay, so he came
little under a year.
Sorry. You're the second most famous Stefan in my mind.
No.
But that's what's fun about this type of a conversation is, that's why I wanted to ask our friends, our Cub fan friends on the Twitter, what they thought, because they are what we collect with the Twins and the Royals and the A's, their Cubs. What are your favorite? What do you think are your most iconic? Because if I dig deeper than just the main 4 A's, or 5 if you include the Eddie Plank, there's going to be something I'm going to come up with that other people aren't going to think about. Sure. And that's what's really fun is having a fan of a certain team go, oh, of course the most iconic is this. You'll probably say that, but I'll say this. It's like, well, it's the most iconic to the hobby, not just to you, the collector. But it's fun.
Bowman or 52 Tops.
Yeah, it's fun to see those. And it sparks a good debate. I mean, definitely want to have a good debate on Twitter about the defunct teams, especially teams like the Expos, which probably had a handful, but the most iconic card is probably the one that was never made.
Right. Gary Carter.
Yeah, no, the Jose Canseco. We'll get to that. Is Tim chatting? Because I see his lips moving, but I don't see any volume coming out.
I don't know if he.
There we go. I was on mute. Sorry. Scott Hermanson, Pirates local collector here we've met up with. Pirates Nation. He says Pirates Nation also accepts the Roberto Clemente rookie since the Wagner is a class all by itself.
It really is.
Yeah. So definitely, that's from a Pirates guy. There's some other kind of more current cards. The 87 Tops bonds, 86 Tops traded bonds.
Sure.
They get a little love as more modern cards to go after them. McCutcheon was a 05, was his 05 rookie.
05, yep.
Would be another one. I think is a draft pick card.
For its image itself, and this was a late cut, just because again it is the.
And I believe any Chad Hermanson card too for the Pirates is iconic.
I am going catcher, but not that one. Where is it? I know it's Stadium Club.
I love this. Is like you're in the mind of Steph right now, just watching him work. I love it.
With his 73 tabs open at any given time.
Yeah, no wonder your computer smokes.
My computer shut down last week. Well, yeah, no kidding, dude. It needed a break.
Yeah, it's like, dude, you're not paying me for this kind of work. I was not built for this.
2001 Tops.
Steph is like the situation room of the White House of cards. With all these different monitors, and he's tracking different things, and
yeah,
error cards, and it's fantastic.
I just want to bring this up when Steph pulls us up. We've had here we go, Jason Kendall.
That's just a great catcher image. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he got bowled over a few too many times.
And what he's doing right here is probably illegal now, based on Buster Posey.
But I've always thought that was an iconic, great image for that set, for that team.
Yeah. No, and that's it. I don't like this set just with this ugly. This reminds me of every car color in the 1990s, this tealish blue color. But I don't know, for whatever reason, this card looks all right. I think it's the picture that really makes it. It's almost a Stadium Club-esque picture.
I think that's why I was thinking it was Stadium
Club. Yeah. No, and I just want to, as we end the show tonight, as we head out, man, I posted a couple weeks ago about, looking for any Giants and Royals cards, and my wife is she's like, why do all these people have our address? And I said, well, none of them are really harmful except for maybe Ben, and he's been to inside the house. So, but how many people have just said, hey man, give me your address. I'm going to send you a box of cards. I'm going to send you a stack of cards. I'm going to send you this. I mean, I received some just amazing things this last 2 weeks, and I just want everybody, thank you so much. I mean, I'm trying to, as soon as I can have time to open them and take a picture and give a shout out, I do. And thank you. I mean, it's awesome, and that's what this is about. That's why I put out, like the other day, I love this hobby, and I kind of want to give some people some recognition, like a good follow, a great blog. Ken's really good about retweeting a ton of blogs out there. And sharing those all with us. Hey, where do you get your information from? What's a good source? Because we all have different sources, and it was really good. And I try to share and retweet and favorite all the comments I saw coming through, and then the comments in between the collectors getting mentioned. And everybody's just so thankful, and it shows that the majority of this hobby is full of really great people. And Ground Chuck definitely was one of them. I mean, a bunch of stuff I didn't even have, that I'd never see. I knew kind of existed, or I had one of certain players, but nothing with what I actually ever had. And so I can't wait to put it all together so everybody can take a look at it and see. But again, thank you again. Hey, thanks for hanging out with us and spending time with us. I'm sorry about the intro, a little janky tonight. I pushing too many buttons at one time, I think. So
you had too many tabs.
Too many tabs. The hamster fell off the wheel. So, guys, if you don't have anything else tonight, I think we're gonna hop out. But remember, we're live every Wednesday on YouTube at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on YouTube. Make sure to subscribe and review on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher. I put it. We're on. We applied for, was it TuneIn? And no, we're on TuneIn, and we applied for someone else, iHeartRadio.
iHeartRadio,
and that takes a couple of weeks, but if you have the TuneIn app, we're on there, so that's cool. Man, it makes me feel like, hey, we're something. You can follow us on Twitter about the cards. You can always follow Ben at Our Trading Cards. Follow Stefan at Junkwax Twins, and follow me at Big Shep 79. And it's been
James,
fun.
One more time, James.
At Philly Puck Fan, PHILY.
We want to thank him for his time tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Very gracious. And we had planned this a couple of weeks ago, and he's like, hey, am I coming on tonight? And we're like, yeah. So we appreciate his understanding, and he's such a neat guy. He's a great guy, and we got a chance to talk a little hockey and learn a couple of new things. So that's kind of fun.
No, we've had some great interviews. Chris Torres, Ryan Cracknell, Tanner Jones. I mean, some of the superstars in the hobby, and I think that James definitely is one of those guys you need to follow and check out his tweets. So keep sharing your hobby stories, great polls, any questions you have, send them our way, and let us know your great finds out there. We love to see that stuff. So everybody, you guys have a great night. We'll see you next week, and we'll talk more trading cards.
Yep, let's do that.
Have a good one.